Well, welcome everyone. Today in this vlog I will be speaking about AI as a catalyst for complex adaptive systems within organizational walls. Now in my previous vlogs I've talked about AI augmented human reasoning as a process, recursive dialogue and AI riffing. In this vlog I want to place all that in a broader context because what we're really talking about here is how a human AI hybrid system, a hybrid cognition, so to speak, is actually a technological catalyst to support greater engagement with complex adaptive systems actually within organizations. And that's important because most of the systems leaders deal with are exactly that. They have complexity within them. Given examples such as organizations, markets, cultures and customer experience and customer behavior. These are all not engineered systems. They don't behave like machines. They behave more like, as I say, complex adaptive systems. But what does that term mean? Well, CAS for short can be contrasted to engineering systems. So let's have a look at one, for instance. A bridge. As an engineering system, it can be designed, it can be decomposed, it can be controlled in a predictable and planned manner from, for instance, a blueprint. It is an engineering system that demonstrates linear cause and effect. By contrast, a rainforest is not predictable in that classical sense. It evolves through feedback loops, through local interactions, adaptation and emergence. It is constrained but not predictable. It exhibits emergent order arising from that interaction under constraints, and indeed we can go further. We can say that even attempts to impose control will actually destroy the very conditions that allowed the rainforest to emerge in the first place. So hopefully you're now getting an impression of what a complex adaptive system is like. And historically, leaders really have struggled with this type of system. And it's not because we're unintelligent or don't understand what these systems are like. It's because our tools of engagement, our tools of management practice, such as Taylorism, really evolved for scaling and efficiency, for linear cause and effect, not to deal with these type of systems. We plan, we optimize, we standardize, we control. And when that fails, we add even more rules and even more data to try and effect even more control. What we usually don't do well, unfortunately, is hold ambiguity for long periods of time or explore multiple possible interpretations, understanding those feedback loops, so to speak, and how things emerge and how they evolve. We don't sense make, understanding insights that are coming to fruition, looking for weak signals, for instance. We tend to now probe safely before acting, fail to allow structure to emerge and impose on things constraints far too early. The problem is then with our current mode of operation, if you apply that engineering predictable mindset onto a complex adaptive system, what happens is you tend to kill it or degrade it, and you certainly build in fragility. It's kind of like managing coffee plantation and trying to grow a rainforest in it. It just will not work. Or another analogy might be how businesses game metrics in complex adaptive systems to be operationally performative but crush out the very variation that we need to respond to and to be sensitive to. And most of our technologies have unfortunately been built to reinforce that bias. They reward optimization, prediction, and convergence too early. Now, however, we have something genuinely new. When AI is used recursively in those structured human AI feedback loops, a new technological catalyst develops, a hybrid cognition that offers us an ability to engage with, not manage complexity. A catalyst for engaging with CAS honestly and effectively, one that lowers the energy required for that process and those certain behaviours to begin and makes it cheap and scalable. For instance, behaviours such as rapid iteration, the stress testing of assumptions, the exploration of variants and adjacencies, the ability to hold contradictory hypotheses in tension, sense weak signals and act on them, seek syntheses. Each loop helping us to produce better questions, sharper distinctions, clearer patterns of coherence, enable that second, third and nth order reasoning leading to greater novelty. And this does matter because in complex adaptive systems, you don't discover what works by analysis alone. You discover it by that very process of interaction, feedback and learning, that recursive human-AI dialogue that is so critical to help us engage with CAS. But to do this effectively, what we also need is a team of what I call AI orchestrators, and an ability to create the right context such that hybrid cognition can be managed in a safe space away from political interference, over governments and the risk of companies closing down discussion. If we can do that, we will release firms from a boundary condition that has prevented engagement with CAS, that is epistemic closure. So it's not that AI understands complex adaptive systems better than humans, it's that it helps humans behave better in them. It extends our capacity to explore, reflect and adapt without collapsing complexity into false certainty. And that shifts something fundamental. Complexity stops being something to eliminate or be fearful of and becomes something to work with deliberately. And for executives, that reframes leadership itself from decision making to sense making, from optimization to coherence, from control to adaptive orchestration. And for organizations, it suggests a future where AI is not primarily a tool for efficiency, but a cognitive catalyst helping human systems become more adaptive, more resilient, and more honest about the nature of the world they operate in. That's not automation, that's a new way of engaging with complexity.